hopefully. So, the first question: what is the most popular place in Dublin among young people and why?
Okay, I think a lot of Irish social life often goes around maybe sometimes nightlife like drinking, or I think some of the more popular places are probably like either Temple Bar, which gets a lot of tourists, or Camden Street, which gets more locals. They have a lot of nice bars and of really all types. So I think, but I mean certainly like say in comparison, your museums may be relatively empty. You say Camden Street and Temple Bar, you may not be able to move because it's so busy. So I would say I mean, how many times can you go to a museum as well?
Me?
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Okay. The same museum.
Yeah,
Okay.
actually.
Right.
But that's me. I think that's an
That's maybe just me
exception.
as well. Yes.
So, describe Ireland in 3 words.
Okay. I think wet and green, and I think very beautiful. It's got a lot of very nice countryside, and it's kind of a lot very historic. Kind of you've got monuments, but like structures there that are older than the pyramids. To just very modern kind of, well, not modern, but kind of more, kind of say 19th century kind of just. I mean, you've got a good array of history there. You can't go far in Ireland without seeing a castle. That's truth. Anna describes it as like having a civilization that has disappeared and something else has arrived. So that kind of way. Just it has a lot of history, castles for 1,000 years, and then before that, then again you had the Stone Age with different monuments.
Next question. Can you explain social life in Ireland in short? Are people in Ireland politically educated?
I think people. Okay, social life in Ireland, as I mentioned before, like often when you think of where the crowds find themselves, orientate to. The crowds generally orientate themselves around, say, late at night around the pub or around a concert or some event that's going on. Also during the days, maybe around some sort of sporting activity or something. Myself, I'm not into any sports whatsoever, but I do appreciate that a lot of people like. There's Gaelic football. There's Irish football. It is very different. It's more like Aussie rules or something like that. If you know that, you can hand the ball, you can kick it over. I mean, you know what I mean. I don't know. It's like and then also hurling. It's apparently one of the fastest games on earth. So you just basically have a stick and you hit the ball. If you know hurling,
Kind of.
Yeah, you know of it anyway. Yeah. So grads political. I think people are at least a little bit aware. It's difficult to say, but I think people, I like to think they're more aware. I don't know myself. I should be more aware of what's going on. I mean, but overall, I would say, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say give Irish people maybe a 6 or 7, in terms of political awareness.
I'm asking this question because as a foreigner, I think like the most people, I see the difficulties between Ireland and Britain. That is why I'm asking,
Right.
Is it important to Irish people to be independent, or they don't think about it actually, not in the movies?
I think, I've heard people in Dublin, only in Dublin as well, saying that we were better off being part of Britain, although I'm half British myself, but I was born in UK, my father is British, I consider myself Irish, but the way the English treated the Irish, they really would rather us die. You know what I mean, in terms of anything. So, how they would think that we're better off being part of Britain, it's beyond me. It's beyond me, truthfully. So, and I think I'm speaking. I mean, I'm proud of my English heritage. I'm proud of my Irish heritage. At the same time, I just don't see how any country can be subdued to any other. You know what I mean, in terms of. When somebody's just taking from the country constantly and they don't see the effect that it's having on people, and I think that shouldn't happen. So
What do you know about the Fine Gael party?
Fine Gael,
Yeah.
truthfully, I've never voted for. I've always voted Labour, so I'm more left, or Greens, because I like their ethos. If you know how, even if they're not that powerful, and Labour are not that good a party, truthfully, whenever they've been in power, they haven't done. I just like their ethos. In terms of, I mean, I think that Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil are the two dominant parties in the country at the moment, and I think they're just. I mean, Fine Gael have been racked with scandal with regards corruption and cronyism for the last couple of years. And the only reason Fine Gael haven't, because they got into power because of essentially when Fianna Fáil were being exposed, although Fine Gael were equally as corrupt, but they weren't in power, you know what I mean, as much. So there's probably less corruption now, I think, although I'm not aware of it, you know, but I think they're too far right, and I mentioned there about the homelessness crisis going on in Ireland, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse, and it doesn't seem that they seem to know or care about it really. It just seems that they're serving a particular people, and they're not the whole country, and I think that's. I will say I don't think that they'll get in power next election either, and you know.
So you mentioned corruption. Do you think it's a thing for Ireland?
I think it was, definitely. It was
how
definitely.
many years ago?
I only think it was certainly more so in the 90s and 80s, and even probably right up to about 2010-ish, or maybe 9. I mean, or Taoiseach of the country didn't have a bank account. He got paid in, you know, suitcases of cash. I mean, that's just. I mean, he just says he never had a bank account, and he never, in his heart of hearts, he never did anything wrong. Nonsense. You know what I mean? I think. I think the old Taoiseach in Ireland, Charlie Haughey, he on a 40,000 euro salary back then in the 80s or whatever it was a bit, but he was able to buy himself islands off the coast and stuff like that. And how did he? It's not possible, really, you know, on his salary. And I think people turned a blind eye to it.
So it sounds a lot like Russia, actually.
Yeah. Well, do you know what?
So probably is.
I think it's the same the world over.
Yeah. Are you a religious person?
Well, I grew up. I used to go to mass every day or every week. I used to, if I was going to my grandfather, I'd go every day. As growing up, I think in the 80s and maybe in the early 2000s, maybe. People just sort of started to realize again the corruption in the church and the amount of abuse of children and all that kind of stuff, and realize these people were not they were not like they made out to be, say. And I think people started turning away from it and began to sort of just be more disgusted with it, the church generally. And so overall, I think I don't, and I'm going to say I'm fairly agnostic, you know. So I would say I'm not that. I don't go to church anymore. I bring my kids up that way, as Catholic, because I think it's a good community to be part of potentially. I mean, I think a lot of hypocrisy, but I think there's goodness in it as well. So, and I like.
What is more important for you, to be a part of a smaller group, I mean Irish people, or to be a part of a large community, I mean the European Union?
I think it's balanced. Like I think we have our own cultures, which is good. Like, and I mean, if everyone wants to come along and to join us with it, that's great. I mean, I think I've always got on well with foreign people myself, anyway. You know, so it just I think there's both there. You know what I mean? I appreciate being part of the Irish community, and people coming along. I'm delighted to talk to them or whatever. You know, and I think that's the general. I think that's a consensus among Irish people generally. We like people who are just come to be friendly or whatever. You generally.
What is your favorite thing about Ireland that you couldn't find in any other country?
I think I like the social life. I mean, it's usually quite. I mean, I think the music as well. I think I'd miss the music. I mean, when you go out, particularly in the west of Ireland, the east is different. They have kind of a more folky kind of singing type. In the west, it's more kind of more kind of call it traditional kind of like violin or uilleann pipes or kind of and I do miss that when I go away from it. I mean, you don't notice it when you're there, or even like the type of bread you get. I think. I mean, I really like it's kind of called farrell bread. It's a kind of a type of soda bread. I like it, but you don't get it in the East. You know, you get it in the West. You know, I think the music, the people, and and I suppose to some degree the food. You know, yeah.
Food is very important.
Yeah, well, it's one of the pleasures, isn't it? Yeah.
That is true. So basically, it's all the things that forged you as a person, I guess. It's not. It's not something very Irish or something like that. Just something yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much for this.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I hope I wasn't bothering you too much.
No, that's perfect. Thank you very much.
So thank you, our dear audience. Goodbye.